Ramara Township. I'll begin with roll call of council. Mayor Clark,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Bell,
Muted, but present.
Present.
Councillor Snutch,
There he is. Present.
Present.
Councillor Fisher,
Oh, present.
Councillor Tuyu,
Present.
Councillor Goff,
Present.
and Councillor Bell.
Present.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, so I have a recommendation that I guess the council go in closed session at 5:05 PM to discuss a matter in accordance with section 239 2BF of the Municipal Act. Moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Fisher. All in favor? That is carried. So we'll just wait to get in the breakout room. No, yep. Okay, we're live. I'll call the meeting to order. I'll look for my clerk for roll call, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Welcome to the February 24th, 2025 council meeting. I'm Jennifer Connor, Clerk of Ramara Township. I'll begin with roll call of council. Mayor Clark.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Bell. He is attending virtually.
I don't see him yet.
No. Councillor Snutch.
Present.
Councillor Fisher.
Present.
Councillor Tuyu.
Present.
Councillor Goff.
Present.
Councillor Bell.
Present.
Thank you.
I'm here too, Jen.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
This meeting is being streamed live on the Township of Ramara YouTube channel. Be advised that by attending a public meeting of the Council of the Township of Ramara, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and will form a part of the public record. The chair, CAO, and/or clerk have the discretion and authority to terminate or interrupt the live streaming in exceptional circumstances where the content of debate is considered inappropriate to be published. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I guess the next item is remarks from the mayor. And no, I was actually out of town during the big storm that everybody got. I do want to congratulate the roads crew and all the staff that managed to keep everything flowing. We didn't have any major issues here in this municipality where I heard there was roads closed all over Simcoe County. So congratulations to the staff. Anybody else been out attending events? Councillor Tuyu.
Thank you. It is Invasive Species Awareness Week, and last week I attended a 3-day forum put on by the Invasive Species Center. As always, it was great to have the opportunity to learn from the incredible researchers sharing their work about threats we're facing from invasive species, which impact our native species by altering habitats and competing for resources. I'm really excited to share the presentations on Phragmites with staff to help us figure out the best way we can prevent further spread in wetlands and roadsides in Ramara.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher.
Thank you. There's a lot of events that happened over the family day long weekend, and one of the events that I attended was put on by the Robert L. Bowles Nature Center. They opened up their property for families and individuals to come. They had Bob at 1 o'clock do a guided walk on snowshoes that Councillor Bell had gone on. I didn't, my health wouldn't permit it, but they had a toboggan hill set up. They had snowshoes and skis for families that didn't, and complimentary hot chocolate. And they just wanted to remind everyone that, you know, their property, although they do have classes and courses and different workshops that you can attend, that they do have the trails that are open. So just to give them a call if you're planning on heading over there, and that they'd love to share their property.
Perfect. Councillor Bell.
Thank you. As Jen said, I did have the opportunity to visit at Robert L. Bowles and wear snowshoes for the first time. I've done a lot of winter walking, but that was my first experience with snowshoes, and I was not particularly adept, I learned. So that was fun and informative. Aside from that, it was also the Brecon Lines Ice Fishing Derby, which was a great success in many ways. And also there was a little bit of a challenge with the amount of snow out on the ice. It has impacted on ice fishing, sadly, this year. And then at the dinner a little bit, I think folks were afraid to stay out too late. So that was a little bit disappointing. So it was sort of a mixed bag. It was a great day, but could have been a little bit better based on the previous year. But as always, the Lions put on a great event. So that was wonderful. And then in addition to that, last week, I was fortunate enough to make some connections and be invited to attend at the Ontario Association of Agriculture Societies put on. Their conference was over the weekend, the Rural Conference, and it allowed for me to attend a Building Community Leaders workshop, which it was incredible. So for our local societies here at Ramona and even up in Severn in our region, if there's an opportunity for either group to attend, I would highly recommend. In the meantime, I'll be glad to pop up, and I actually am going to pop up to Ramona in a little bit and share some of what I learned. So it's just a really, really great 2-day workshop and fully immersed with rural folks from across the province. And it was It was really amazing. And on top of all of that, I was able to hand out a number of winter toques from the Ramara experience. So we have a whole bunch of folks running around wearing Ramara Rocks hats and proudly displaying their pride in Ramara Township. And I'm going to have the chance to deliver some more of those toques all around the community. So to at least our boards and committees as we look for more funding. So I'm excited about that.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I actually manned one of the posts at the Ramona Hall Winterfest. We had 265 people go through this year, even though it was a little windy and chilly. It was a great success. So we had a great day. We actually made apple cider for everybody, but it was way too busy. We actually started at the beginning doing well. We couldn't keep up. Actually yesterday I went over to a friend's place, the residents, longtime residents, Bud and Betty Wright. It was their 60th wedding anniversary, which is a rare thing to celebrate. And it was nice to see everybody. So it was a great event.
Perfect. Thank you. So with that, I will go to my CAO for your update, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and certainly just to further what you had indicated, just a huge thank you to our operations crew. They've gone certainly above and beyond over the last basically entire winter. So a huge shout out to them for all the hard work and doing quite frankly a super job. And if I can, through you, your worship, is just introduce Andrew Shell, who is the interim director of infrastructure. He's with the township for a period of time as we recruit a new director of infrastructure. And those are my comments. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Welcome, Andrew. Anything you'd like to say? Now, our last interim was 6 months. What's your comments on that, sir?
Thank you through your worship. Unfortunately, I've only signed 3 months. So I guess I'm going to be a little shorter, but I certainly look forward to working with everybody. So far, it has been a wonderful experience. Everybody is very inviting and welcoming. So I look forward to my 3 months and helping where I can. Thank you.
Thank you for helping us out. With that, I will go to my clerk. We'll go back and we'll do the in-camera motions now before we approve the agenda.
Thank you, your worship. That regular council closed session minutes dated January 27th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Closed session moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Fisher. Questions on those? Well, there can't be because they're in camera. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried.
Thank you. That motion SCW 2625 of special closed committee of the whole meeting dated February 19th becomes section A and be adopted as presented.
Yeah, we just discussed this. So so it's, you want to make it section A on the agenda?
I'm asking it to be made section A
Yes.
and adopted as presented.
Moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Tuyu. All in favor of making it section A? We're splitting the one meeting in section A and B. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to be clear because I don't have the numbers in front of me. Section, which section is which? So I know when I'm asking for a recorded vote.
Section A is the first motion of that special closed meeting minutes.
Right, so that's where I need a recorded vote.
Yes, you want a recorded vote on the first one, Councillor?
Yeah, thank you.
So now we've made it section A. When are you ready to vote on it? Now?
We're ready to vote on it now, your worship.
Okay, on section A, I need a mover and a seconder. Is that the same mover and seconder? Or do I need another one now? We made it
No.
section A.
No, we have a mover and a seconder.
Okay, so recorded vote's been asked by Councillor
Okay,
Bell.
thank you. Councillor Bell,
Opposed.
Mayor Clark,
In favor?
Councillor Fisher,
In favor?
Councillor Goff,
In favor.
Councillor Tuyu,
In favor?
Councillor Snatch,
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Bell.
In favor.
That motion is carried, your worship.
Thank you. And now I think you have section B, correct?
That motion SCW 2725, the special closed committee of the whole meeting dated February 19th, 2025 becomes section B and be adopted as presented.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Bell. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you.
That we appoint David Funnell to the Ramara Trails Committee.
Moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Bell. All in favor? That is carried.
That we appoint Janet Banfield to the Rooted in Ramara Committee.
I think I recall that name from the past. Moved by Counselor Tuyu, second by Counselor Fisher. All in favor? That is carried.
That we receive the application for the appointment to the Athlete Community Center Board and that staff proceed as directed.
Yeah, some clarification needed here. Moved by Counselor Goff, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? That is carried.
That we file the notice of withdrawal of the appeal pertaining to Bertrand versus Township of Ramara and that we take out the order.
Moved by Counselor Bell, second by Counselor Goff. All in favor? That is carried. That was unanimous. And lastly, that we received. Yeah,
That we receive the correspondence from the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission regarding the decision concerning Bertrand versus Township of Ramara.
okay, on the receiving, moved by Counselor Snutch, second by Counselor Fisher. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. You want me to read it, Madam Clerk, or are you comfortable reading the motion?
I'm comfortable, Your Worship.
Okay.
That council agenda dated February 24th, 2025, and any additions thereto be adopted as presented.
So on the agenda, moved by Counselor Goff, second by the Deputy Mayor. Questions arising from the agenda? It looks like Counselor Fisher.
Sorry, the only question I have is just administrative. We just did an amendment of the closed session minutes, so should it
Should
be
be as
adopted
amended.
as amended?
Yes,
Okay, so we'll have that correction adopted.
yes,
as
thank
amended.
you.
I'm getting nods from the mover and seconder are fine with that. I think it was Goff and the Deputy Mayor. So all in favor of the agenda, that is carried. Disclosure, do I have a disclosure of pecuniary interest by any member of council?
Your Worship, we have to back up to open forum, please, number 4.
All right, we didn't have anybody here, so that's why I missed it. So yes, there was nobody here to speak at the open forum.
That's right. That the council meeting minutes dated January 27th be adopted as presented.
Okay, moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Tuyu. Any questions arising from the minutes? Not seeing any. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Trying to scroll through slower. This is why I actually have you reading the motions now, because it does slow me down, because I realize I tend to blast through the agenda very quick on you folks.
Okay, so
So disclosure of pecuniary interest. Do I have a disclosure of pecuniary interest by any member of council? Counselor Bell.
I'll just have to disclose on the chamber.
Oh, yes, when their minutes come up, as you're a member.
Just on this consent agenda item for the job fair. I won't be able to vote on that.
Perfect. Thank you. Not seeing any others. So now we are on the consent agenda.
that's correct. So
7.1.
Councillor Bell has a conflict with 7.1. So the recommended motion will be that we adopt the recommendations of items 7.2 to 7.4 of the consent agenda dated February 24th, 2024.
Perfect.
2025, Your Worship.
Yeah, 2020. Looks like Counselor Goff. Question on that.
Yes, item 7.2. I'd like to change the recommendation there that we just receive it.
It says that we received.
Okay, so we'll pull that.
Pull out as
Councillor
well.
Goff.
So now
We
seven.
item 7.1, 7.2. So that changes the recommended motion that we adopt the recommendations of items 7.3 to 7.4 of the consent agenda dated February 24th, 2025.
Okay. Moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Snutch. Questions on the two? The first one's my integrity commissioner, which was dismissed, but if you look, I have an email correspondence I put at the end because that was the item that was discussed. It was a verbal update. Now it's in writing and it shows the properties billed and it shows that the percent of water users in Ramara at 22.67 and the percent of sewer users at 17.93%. And that was the one that Zach had given us a verbal. Now we have it in writing. So it's out there, it's received by council and everybody has the actual exact information. So I just wanted that tagged on because unfortunately that was the issue of my complaint. There was some confusion in the public to what the actual numbers were. Counselor Bell.
Thank you. I would speak to that as well, which is I agree that the number of homes is one aspect of how the information has been communicated, but there's also a second piece of information that's been communicated. And unfortunately, the confusion is arising from what I would say is comparing apples to oranges instead of apples to apples or oranges to oranges. So if we're talking about the number of connection points to one service or the other, then we would compare that to the total number of available homes in the township. But if we're talking about the number of people, individuals who actually consume the service, the number is different. And then that number would be compared to the total population. So I think the confusion is arising from who's talking about what at which time. So when we look at Aqua's report stating all the way from 2019, they weren't Aqua in 19, but those annual drinking water reports from 19 all the way up to the year 2023, each of the systems within those reports shows the actual number of consumers of the system, as in the number of people. And that factors in to how Aqua is recommending that the assets be managed. And I think when they come in, and they should be coming to us soon with the 24 reports, maybe it would be a good idea if we ask them why those numbers are important, or I'll ask them why that is important, because I think it's worth talking about. So I just think it's a question of making sure when we're talking about this information, we know that we're either talking about connections to available connections or percentage of actual people consuming the service against total population, just so that we have that clarity.
You can't do that though, because the number of people using, you can't determine the total population based on units, or you come up with a population of 17,187. If you take our amount of residents and multiply them by 2.6, it changes our population. So total amount of people in the township in the summer is about 17,187. If you take our census numbers and multiply it by the number of dwellings. So that's why you can't determine the amount of people to the population, because we don't know exactly how many people we have in the township when you take all the property owners into effect. We only know the permanent population is 10,500. And that's why there was confusion, and that's why I brought the actual chart that will clarify that. Deputy Mayor, I saw your hand, and then Councillor Snutch.
Trying to get unmuted. You actually just said what I was going to say, is that you're using averages that we're not sure of and not aware of. So exact same thing. I think it's just the only accurate number we have is we know exactly how many hookups we have and how many users compared to homes.
Yeah. All right. Councillor Snutch.
Yeah, and I would agree with what the mayor originally stated, because we have people who have vacant lots which still pay taxes, and all this came up because of what we were going to do with the Bay Shore, and whether the regular taxpayer would be subsidizing the users. And so therefore we have to take into consideration all the people that have lots that pay taxes.
General taxpayer versus designated, to use those terms. Councillor Bell, a quick wrap up, and then I'm moving on.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to point out for anybody who wants to understand what I'm referencing, if you just look at Ramara's drinking water quality report page, you will see that each year there are 7 different drinking reports posted, and within each of those 7 reports, on about page 7-ish, depending which report it is, it will show you the number of consumers of that particular system. So for example, at Bayshore Village, there's 350 connection points, which is what you are speaking about, Mayor, is the number of connection points. In other words, the homes, 350 homes are connected, but there are 2 persons per home, which is 700 people. And that carries throughout each of the 7 different drinking water systems. Those numbers are available online at ramara.ca in our own reports. And that's where the 44% comes from. So I just am saying that when we're talking about it, we just need to be clear if we're talking about the number of connection points or the number of people who lift up a glass and drink water.
The 44% is still incorrect, because you can't multiply, you can't compare that to a 10,000 population then, because many of those hookups are seasonal, and seasonal are not counted in our permanent population. They're not counted. Only permanent residents are counted. So if you're going to take an arbitrary number of 2 times hookups, then you have to go 2 times all of our taxpayers, and you'll come up with a population of about 24,000, which I think we know is not correct. That's why you can't use simple math to drive at that. Anyway, the report's here, it's on desk, it's now been received. Any questions on 7.4? Oh, I did have a comment. We're donating, they're looking for a donation, which is fine in the motion. Traditionally as well, if they're having a silent auction, we usually offer our history books. I think CEO, you found a stack of them in our one building. So whenever one of our schools or somebody's doing a charity auction, traditionally we donate them one of our history books as well, because they're not selling, so we donate them and it raises money. So that's the only thing I'd add there. Counselor Snotch.
Question for any staffs can answer. Did we do this last year?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I think we have.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine.
Yep.
I'm in favor. Yeah.
So on 7.3, 7.4, all in favor of receiving? That is carried. Now we're back to 7.1, which I believe Counselor Bell has a conflict.
That's right. That we receive and waive fees for the Ramara Chamber of Commerce for the job fair event.
Okay, moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Fisher. Any questions? Not seeing any. All in favor?
We did last year, right?
Yep. That is carried.
That we receive correspondence from the Métis Nation of Ontario dated February 3rd, 2025.
Okay, moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Fisher. All in favor? Opposed of any? Opposed? Yes?
No, I actually had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, because Councillor Goff said wanted to change the recommendation to not have staff prepare a report. And either way, I just want to know why did the recommendation come with staff preparing a report? Like, what would we be giving up and why? I just want to understand.
Well, I'll give you my opinion that I offered to the clerk is that I don't know what they're asking for.
Yeah. I got an email from the individuals that were looking for an exemption in our parking bylaw. And my direction is we would treat them the same as we do the Chippewas of Ramara, which we wouldn't give them an exemption based on your status card. You had to Chippewas, we give their council so many of our passes, and that's still in effect. So they assess their people and then they ask us how many passes we need and we give them our passes. So my suggestion would have been the same. If they want parking passes, go see the First Nation neighbors, and they will provide you with our parking passes. We would treat everybody the same. This came in and there's nothing about parking in it. So I think that's what the misconception was. The original request, they were looking for parking passes, but when I see the area, I don't even see Lake St. Quinn here. So any reason like staff prepare a report?
What?
That's why we're not asking for the report. We don't see the need for it.
They can come back and be more specific.
Yeah, it was, like I said, the original request has changed. So I don't know if that helps, Counselor.
No, I'm just confused because so now you were just speaking of Chippewas, which is one thing, but this is for Métis Nation. And then it shows in the one map, the harvesting map shows that Lake Simcoe all the way across to Kawartha. And I just don't understand. I don't understand myself what the ask is here.
Yeah.
So that's why
How do you do a report on
it? That's why I wasn't sure why Joe, Councillor Goff, why you didn't want a staff report. Cause I just don't actually understand what's being asked for.
Counselor
So
Goff.
Okay, my reasoning for not wanting a staff report is basically they're asking us to allow them their quote treaty rights to be able to harvest in that whole mapping, right? That's beyond our jurisdiction.
Yeah, none of this is within our jurisdiction. Counselor Fisher.
Thank you. I think the confusion is, because I'm a little bit confused because there is a copy of the email correspondence in here. And it looks like there might have been some document, like some email from before, because the request, it says here are 3 further documents that will be useful in explaining my request. So we have copies of these documents, but we don't actually have a copy of what the request is in this email.
Mm-hmm. So that's why we're just receiving it, because there's no ask, or we can find whether they've missed one of their documents. I don't know. So at this point, we just receive it. I think it's the best way to proceed. Do I have a mover and a second, or Madam Clerk? I did, yes. One more question, Dave? What?
I want to finish this and I want to back up one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, all in favor of receiving? Carried. Question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Questions to the clerk, and it's regarding 7.3. I noticed that all the council members did not vote to receive it. I thought we weren't allowed to vote not to receive a integrity commissioner report. The only decision that council has is how they want to make that report public, which we have already decided because it's already been in the agenda, so it's already public. But isn't it correct that you must receive the report? It says it in almost every one that I've ever read.
It has to be made public, and we chose to put it on a council agenda. And part of the process of putting it on a council agenda is that we just receive it. So we were acknowledging reading it.
So we really didn't need to vote because we'd already received it. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, there was no action to be taken within the document.
No, the report, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of the consent agenda. We're on to reports of boards and committees. First one I have is committee of the whole.
That's right. That we adopt section A of Committee of the Whole Report 2-25 dated February 10th, 2025 is presented.
Okay, so what's been removed is the parking bylaws, section B. So section A moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Fisher. Any questions on section A? Yep, take your time.
Is this the one where it talks about,
The insurance pool?
no, but did it talk about, things to do with the free trade that we were talking about last time? And it was going to be pushed to the next committee.
Yeah,
of the
there's
whole?
going to be a report coming to the next committee agenda.
I was just thinking about that afterwards and trying to think, we haven't really specified what type of report we want. And there's so much uncertainty out there. I'm not sure how staff prepares a report. So I'm just sort of bringing it up because at the time I thought, yeah, okay. But now I'm thinking, what do we want in a report?
I think we're just going to have a discussion on it. I did send a sample bylaw that Collingwood has sent to Simcoe County. It's on my agenda tomorrow, a motion that they passed, so it can be part of our discussion. And it's pretty generic. It's, just favoring Canadian products where it makes sense. Obviously we're not going to pay double, but it's one worth having a look at. Deputy Mayor, comments?
I was just going to echo what you said, I think, as well, Your Worship. I think what I had asked for specifically is that in light of everything our province is doing and our federal government is doing, I think we want to be ahead of this, and we want to make sure that we're giving that opportunity for local businesses next to provincial and federal Canadian businesses. We should be trying to support where we can when there's small variances in cost. I understand there's going to be huge variances, or some people do things better or offer things that we can't acquire in Canada. But where possible, we should definitely always be trying to that. And that should be part of our purchasing bylaw, I believe.
Yeah, so we can have that discussion at the next committee of the whole.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the committee meeting? All in favor? Opposed, if any, not seeing any. So now we are on to the second one, Madam Clerk.
That we adopt section B of Committee of the Whole Report 2-25 dated February 10th, 2025 as presented. And there has been an amendment requested to this motion, Your Worship.
Yes.
And sorry, I have an amendment too afterwards.
Well, we usually want them,
Okay.
we got to have them ahead of time to put on the agenda. That's, our amendments need to be in ahead of time now. Yeah, so the amendment? If you can read the amendment, yes.
So the amendment to the motion that's contained in section B of Committee Report 02, that section B of Committee of the Whole Report 02-25 dated February 10th, 2025 be amended to include Southview Drive and Barnstable Bay Road to the resident parking permit required area, and that we include Simcoe Road to Maple Trail to the honk paid parking area effective January 1st to March 31st of each year.
Moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Fisher for the amendment. John?
Just one point of clarification that it would be honk implemented on Lakeshore from Simcoe to Maple Trail,
Yes,
not on Simcoe.
not on Simcoe.
So
Correct.
on Lakeshore from
Yes.
Simcoe Road to Maple Trail.
So clarification on, yeah.
Thank you.
So on the amendment, Councillor Goff?
Yeah, the reason I brought that forward is that after our last committee of the whole meeting, I did have several residents reach out to me regarding parking on Barnstable Bay Road. And I did actually take a drive out there, and the one day I was there in the morning, there was approximately 15 cars parked along the road, fairly close to the stop signs, so they're interfering with traffic. And I had a discussion with Mr. Popple about including those two roads as part of the parking pass permit area. He thought that was a great idea. We didn't want to not include those roads and then just have it move the problem. So that's why it was Barnstable Bay Road. We also included Southview because we knew if we made that a paid or a parking permit area, then
They just move up to the next road.
down Southview. So as I said, Mr. Mayor, if you remember last term of council, we did have a meeting with residents there that had and they all loved the fact that it was a paid or a parking permit area, and didn't want to see it go anywhere. So with the addition of Lakeshore as a honk app area, I think that's just people are parking there anyways without permits. It is a permit area now, but at least then we can generate some additional revenue for that short period of time. And Mr. Popple was agreeing that it would be an easy place to be able to enforce that. So,
All right. Anybody else something to add? I always feel like we're playing whack-a-mole on this. I mean, I'd like to at least get through one season and then get a report actually generated from the bylaw department on where the issues are. So I encourage everybody at home, if there's parking issues on your street, even if it's not posted, you need to contact the bylaw department so that we can start to actually document it. And then when we pick an area, it can be done properly, not just adding areas, because unfortunately we've got into a game of whack-a-mole here that we can never seem to get ahead of it. It needs to be generated from the folks through the bylaw department, and then that way we can get a better message. So that's a message for the folks at home. A supplementary, and then I've got Deputy Mayor and Councillor Bell.
For the inclusion of Barnstable Bay Road and Southview, is because we have added John Street, Peter Street, Glen Rest Drive as a permit only area. So we're trying to not play the whack-a-mole and have that area looked after by permit parking.
I got the Deputy Mayor, and then I got Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think I just wanted to go back to what Councillor Snutch said. I think in addition to what you said, we don't want to keep adding on and playing the whack-a-mole game, but if it's an easy, simple waive of procedural bylaw to add a road or something that Councillor Snutch wanted to add, this would be the time, and I'd be willing to waive procedural bylaw to have that happen.
All right, well, first let me deal with the amendment that's here. On this amendment, Councillor Bell.
Thank you. I just actually was topping up on what you said, Mayor, which is, and it was more that I just wanted to make a reminder because I'm still bumping into people asking, well, can't you just fill out the report of concern form for me? And I've been explaining to people that we did just have Mr. Mascarin came in and gave a great presentation and helped clarify why council can't complete report of concern forms, service request tickets on behalf of residents. So I just was going to say, it's not that we're not listening or we don't want to help you, but just procedurally, people need to just go through that report of concern process, or if they're having trouble, to call the bylaw office. So just as a reminder, that's all.
Thank you. So on the amendment, if there's no other comments, all in favor of the amendment? Opposed of any? No, it is carried. So, motion now.
That we adopt Section B of Committee of the Whole Report 225 dated February 10th as amended.
As amended. And I know one of the concerns that I know Councillor Snutch and myself have, I see now we're charging for parking to use the trail, which is, something that the Trails Committee didn't want us to do, but I think it's in there. Is it $5 an hour for the use of the trail now? To park, correct?
So through your worship, are we referencing the trailhead in Lagoon City?
Yes.
So there are approximately 2 to 3 free parking spaces, which are identified at the trailhead. And then council approved the zones around that to be permit parking or paid parking for non-residents
All right.
that don't have a permit. Otherwise, they require a permit.
Okay, so the three are still there. Okay.
Correct.
Perfect. Then that was the clarification we were looking for. So on the motion, section B, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So we're on to items, no, hang on. 9.8.
Cap, who moved section B?
Pardon me?
Who moved and seconded section B?
Oh, I thought it was, Counselor Goff and
And Counselor Fisher, thank
Fisher
you.
is what I had, yes. So now we're on to 8.2.
8.2 is a section A and a section B as well. That motion SCW 2625, a special committee of the whole report dated February 19th becomes section A and be adopted as presented.
Okay, this will be the section A because these are the two we split up. And this was the in-camera meeting so that section A be presented, moved by, feels like we're doing it twice. That's why I'm curious.
There was an open session and a closed session, your worship.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, this is the open session. This is the motion that we actually, when we came out of camera, this is the motions that were passed. One was the closed session minutes. This is the actual,
Minute, yeah.
yeah, this is the committee report. So we're on 8.2. So we are on section A, moved by Counselor Goff, second by Deputy Mayor.
Your worship.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to,
Counselor Bell.
so, yeah, so section A is where I had wanted a recorded vote, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do here now. Is this a recorded vote that I need again?
Yeah,
If that's
see,
what you,
yes, you will, because the
Yeah.
first one was just the minutes.
Right,
This is the actual action. So,
right,
yeah,
so I'll need the recorded vote, yeah.
and I apologize for that. It was the minutes were earlier. I should have pointed that out here. The
Yeah,
minutes
yeah,
were just
just wanna
documenting what
make sure I
happened at
got-
the meeting. I
I just want
apologize.
to make sure I've
Counselor.
got the procedure right. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
recorded vote has been requested. Counselor Bell,
Opposed.
Mayor Clark,
In favor.
Counselor Fisher,
In favor?
Counselor Goff,
In favor.
Counselor Tuyu,
In favor.
Counselor Snutch,
In favor.
and Deputy Mayor Bell.
In favor.
That motion is passed, your worship.
Thank you. And now the next one will be the section B. Go ahead.
That motion SCW 2725, a special committee of the whole report dated February 19th, 2025, becomes section B and be adopted as presented.
Okay, moved by Counselor Bell, second by Counselor Snutch. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So now we're on to items requiring immediate attention.
That's right. So item 9.1 is the OSUM conference request for any member that wishes to attend.
This is the OSUM conference in Collingwood, if anybody's interested. Dave? Counselor Snutch? Apparently they're a good conference. It was in Aurelia last year. So if I can fit it in, I will be there, but it'll be under county, so it won't be any cost to the municipality. Okay, so Counselor Snutch.
Yeah, okay, I'll just read the motion that Staff Register David Snutch for the Ontario Small Urban Municipalities Conference.
Okay, moved by Counselor Goff, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 9.2.
The council renew the contract for shared building services with Chippewas of Ramara First Nation and that staff be delegated the authority to renew the contract in the future as deemed appropriate.
Okay. Moved by Counselor Goff, second by the Deputy Mayor. Questions or comments on this? I think we're doing building inspections for them right now while they're shorthanded. Question? Go ahead, Counselor Snutch.
We weren't provided with a copy of the old contract. Did anything change in the contract between this one and the one from last year?
Director Zachary, go ahead, Wally.
Through your worship to Councillor Snutch, just a minor change. We were in the original permit, we were doing plans examination at their office. Now we have the option to examine the plans here or there.
Other than that, it's exactly the same as last year.
That is correct.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other concerns? Not seeing any. All in favor? That is carried. 9.3.
That report ADO 525 be received as information.
Yep, this is moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Snutch. This is a strategic plan. Questions? Not seeing any. All in favor? Opposed of any? Opposed? Yeah. Counselor Bell, go ahead.
Oops, sorry. I wasn't sure which order it is in. I think it's on the work plan that I had asked for time to be able to add some things. And there was some confusion between the CAO and I. During discussion, two sentences were said. One was email by the end of the week, but then the second one was I will be sending out an email to council with more information. And so I was waiting for an email with specific instructions about what was being required as far as what kind of information was the CAO or staff looking for from members of council. And so I did not send it in because I misunderstood the direction, and I thought that I was meant to be waiting for information to come to me so that I would structure my responses appropriately. My feeling is council is probably going to pass this tonight anyway. So because I wasn't and didn't end up having an opportunity to send in the updates I would want to send in, I'll probably just then ask for a recorded vote because I'm not in support of the work plan the way that it is. I think it's missing a lot of information, including it's not strategic because strategic requires for there to be set goals, like a SMART goal format, and we don't have that. So there was, as I said, a misunderstanding, which is unfortunate, but we're here now. And so if I feel that council is wanting to move this forward tonight, then I'll just be looking to have a recorded vote because I won't support it the way that it is.
Well, I can let the CEO answer, but this is the CAO's report here. Well, I thought we made it very clear, have emails in by Friday. We deferred the strategic plan and it was to have all emails of concerns because we were at committee of the whole. I mean, that's normally where you would just discuss the matter then. But some councillors felt they had more to add, so we said, fine, have the emails in by Friday, and we would forward it all to the next committee of the whole for a wholesome discussion. But I'll refer to you. I didn't think there was any mistake in that one.
Through you, your worship, as indicated in the report, certainly the discussion that occurred during committee of the whole was that council was looking to defer the report because there was more information that they wanted to submit. So I did indicate through you, your worship, that if members of council could get their comments in by Friday, that depending on the magnitude of those comments would then help me understand what meeting we would go to regarding the final report. So no comments were received, Mr. Mayor, by Friday. And so therefore that is why it is on the agenda for ratification this evening.
Okay, so what we're voting on now is just receiving the report from the CAO saying that no reports came in. So any other questions on that? Councillor Bell.
Thank you. Yes, CAO, I did speak to you about this earlier, and I did also go back and listen to the video. And the comment was by the end of the week, and then that was followed by, and certainly council, I will forward an email to you. And so my understanding was that you were going to forward an email which would structure how and what you wanted to receive from me. So again, I apologize that we misunderstood one another. And I'm sorry that we didn't have a chance to connect to straighten that out before tonight. So that being said, I think it was Councillor Snudge who noted that these documents are meant to be working documents. So I would hope that moving forward, if there's something that I or some other member of council would like to bring over these next months, we could do that at a committee of the whole anyway. But in the meantime, I'll just ask for a recorded vote on the work plan.
Okay, so we do a first and second on receiving this document. So this is just the CAO's report.
That's
So I
correct.
have a mover and a seconder. All in favor of receiving this? Yes,
Councillor Bell's requested a recorded vote.
on receiving you want the recorded vote on the strategic plan, do you not? Not the CAO's report?
Sorry, we have two things in front of us: strategic priorities work plan, and then the next one is the strategic priorities. So the work plan is where I think that we are missing information.
And no, you've actually got it backwards. This is just the report from the CAO.
that no
Okay.
emails come in. The next one is the actual strategic priorities plan.
Okay. So it'll be the next one. I'll want the report.
Yeah, I was just to say the report just says where we are, whether we're
Right.
making progress, not making progress, or we
Right.
pushed it forward for another year.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
on that
right.
one, then.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this,
receiving
we're on
the-
9.3 is what we're voting on now. So I have a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Okay, that's receiving the CEO's report. Opposed of any? Okay, I guess one opposed. So now we're on the strategic priorities, which is the strategic plan, which was presented to us at the committee of the whole.
That we receive report ADO 325 as information and that we approve the 2025 priorities as presented.
Okay, moved by Counselor Snutch, second by the deputy mayor. Recorded vote, I believe, requested on this. Deputy mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I did reach out to some of the people that had asked me questions, and then I asked staff for some clarification on a couple of things. So I was satisfied with what I see here. So I'm good with moving forward with it.
Yep. Well, I was gonna say, it is a living document and it will be amended as we go forward, but it's kind of a base document that you need to move forward with other documents. So we got to get it in place and then it can be amended as we move. So on the receiving, recorded vote requested.
Recorded vote has been requested. Counselor Bell.
So I just wanted to make a comment, if I might, before we vote, is all I was hoping for, Mayor.
All right.
I just want to say that I understand, and if we can make some changes as we move ahead over the next few months, that's fine, and I'm happy to bring things to committee of the whole. But specifically, the reason I would oppose this is not because I oppose having a plan in place. Clearly, I write strategic plans and I respect them, but strategic does require goal setting, and the plans do not have any kind of SMART goal. And I did talk about this last year, actually, so it's really recycling the same conversation, unfortunately. But I believe a strategic plan is meant to capture the SMART method so that we can measure the success. You can't measure the success of we're still working on that, for example. So I just want to be clear, that is what I'm opposing. I'm certainly not opposing having a strategic plan.
I understood that. Go ahead, Counselor Snutch.
No, I'm just saying that's what 9.3 is. 9.3 tells us how we're making out and which ones we've completed and which ones we haven't completed. So, yeah, okay, well.
That's all right. No.
Right.
So on the vote, question, Counselor Fisher.
I just wanted to point out that this document is called Strategic Priorities, which I think is a piece of what the strategic plan is. I know when we've looked at last term at council, a concern that I had as well, Councillor Bell, was the fact that the document was missing the SMART goals that I was also seeking. But when I look deeper into the larger document of the strategic plan is where I would find those goals, where this is a piece of that plan, highlighting the priorities to create that strategic plan.
Counselor Bell.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, and I know, Councillor Fisher, you had agreed with me at that point, but actually when we go into the documents, there are aspects of SMART, but it is not SMART. So there's no actual measures. So it doesn't say by X date we'll achieve X. Like, we don't actually have measures attached to what we're working toward, not in the bigger document either. And that's really just my concern, is that in order for something to be strategic, you have to have those components. So anyway, I think we've beat it up. So I'm prepared to do the recorded vote from my part.
Counselor Bell.
And so I'm opposed.
Mayor Clark.
In favor.
Counselor Fisher.
In favor?
Counselor Goff.
In favor.
Counselor Tuyu.
In favor.
Counselor Snutch.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Bell.
In favor.
That motion is carried.
Thank you. So now we're on the county council update.
That we received the county council highlights dated February 11th, 2025 as information.
Moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Tuyu. And next month, we have our public meeting with regard to the downsizing of county council. We're really interested to hear what the public have to say. That is March 11th. I've tried to clear the schedule. We got kind of a heavy day tomorrow, Keith, with lots of deputations and presentations coming because I didn't want any on the day of the public meeting. I wanted to be able to focus on one thing. So anyway, that's the only thing that's coming up right now.
Are people opposing?
The thing is, when you have a public meeting, it's usually the people that are opposing that show up. I'm hoping that's not the case in this case. I'm hoping to have a good, wholesome feedback from the public. So with that, on the county council updates, did I have a mover and a seconder? I think I did. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Well, we already kind of did our announcements for members of council. I think we covered them all earlier in the meeting. So I do have a request for reports from members of council. I don't have any. Did we?
No, your worship.
No. Bills and bylaws.
That bills 2025-09 and 2025-10 be read first, second, and third time and finally passed as bylaws.
Moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Snutch. Questions on the bills? All in favor? That is carried. This
That
one's a
bill
little
number,
different. Yeah,
that bill number 2025-11 be read a first and second time.
only a first and second time because it has to come back to us after there's some more paperwork done. So moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Bell. All in favor? That is carried. So I think they have to sign it back and then we read it the third time. So now I'm up to confirmation bylaw.
That bylaw 2025-14, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on the 24th day of February 2025 be considered read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
On the confirmation bylaw, Councillor Goff and the deputy mayor. All in favor? That is carried. And that we now adjourn at 7:22 PM until March 24th, 2025 at 6 PM. Moved by Councillor Bell, second by Councillor 6:30. Yes, sorry, 6:30 PM. And second by Councillor Goff. All in favor? That is carried. I read one motion and I get it wrong, Madam Clerk. Thank you.